What happens when two of daytime television's most powerful women collide in a confrontation no one saw coming? Today, we're breaking down the explosive moment that left viewers stunned and altered the tone of daytime TV forever. Stay with us, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think about this jaw-dropping showdown. The studio lights blazed over the familiar set of The View as the hosts settled into their seats around the iconic table. Joy Behar adjusted her reading glasses, flipping through her notes with the practiced confidence of someone who had spent decades commanding this space. But something felt different that morning. There was a charge in the Iran unspoken tension the crew couldn't quite explain. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our very special guest, media mogul and philanthropist, Oprah Winfrey. The announcer declared. Thunderous applause filled the studio as Oprah walked onto the set with her trademark grace, waving briefly before taking her seat. She wore a crisp white blazer that seemed to glow beneath the studio lights, her presence instantly commanding the room. Oprah, it's so wonderful to have you with us today, Whoopi Goldberg said warmly. Double quotes, thank you, Whoopi. It's always a pleasure to be here with you ladies, Oprah replied, her familiar smile lighting up the set. Then Joy leaned forward. Oprah, I have to ask you about something that's been bothering me for a while, she said, her tone suddenly serious. Your recent interview special seemed to give a platform to some pretty controversial figures without really challenging their more problematic statements. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Oprah's smile stayed in place, but her eyes sharpened. I'm sorry, Joy, I'm not sure I follow, Oprah said evenly. Which interview are you referring to? You know exactly which one I mean, Joy shot back, her voice gaining an edge that made the other hosts exchange uneasy glances. The one where you sat there nodding while your guest made claims that were completely unfounded and potentially harmful to millions of people. Oprah straightened slightly, tilting her head. Joy, I think you're mischaracterizing what happened. My role as an interviewer is to create a space where people feel comfortable sharing their truth even when that truth is difficult to hear. Their truth. Joy's voice rose, prompting murmurs in the audience. Oprah, there's a difference between someone's truth and actual facts. When someone spreads misinformation on your platform and you just smile and nod, you're giving credibility to dangerous ideas. The table fell silent. Sunny Hostin looked like she wanted to jump in but couldn't find an opening, while Sarah N. sat frozen in her chair. Oprah's voice remained calm, but there was steel beneath it. Joy, I've been doing this for over 4 decades. I understand the responsibility that comes with having a platform. What you're describing isn't journalism, it's advocacy. And there's a difference. Don't you dare lecture me about journalism, Joy snapped, her cheeks flushing. I've been in this business long enough to recognize when someone hides behind false neutrality to avoid taking a stand. The audience was completely silent now, hanging on every word. Even the camera operators seemed transfixed. Oprah leaned back, her expression shifting, less surprise now, more intensity. False neutrality. She said, with all due respect, Joy, I think you've lost sight of what real journalism is. It's not about pushing an agenda or forcing guests to conform to your worldview. It's about asking the right questions and letting people reveal themselves. Reveal themselves. Joy laughed sharply. The only thing that interview revealed was that you care more about ratings than truth. You used to stand for something, Oprah. What happened to the woman who wasn't afraid to challenge power? The words landed like a gauntlet thrown at Oprah's feet. Her eyes narrowed. For the first time, her composure showed the faintest crack. I think you have some nerve, Oprah said slowly, sitting there questioning my integrity, my commitment to truth. I have nerve. Joy fired back. Joy shot up from her chair, her voice surging so sharply that producers in the control room began frantically waving at the camera operators. You're the one who's lost touch with reality, Oprah, Joy snapped. You've become so obsessed with being liked that you've forgotten how to stand for anything that actually matters. The studio plunged into silence, broken only by the faint hum of cameras still rolling. Slowly, deliberately, Oprah rose from her seat. Her full presence filled the frame, calm, immovable, impossible to ignore. Standing across the table from one another, the two media titans created a moment that would soon be replayed endlessly across social media and cable news. Oprah's voice dropped to a near whisper, somehow commanding more attention than any shout. "Joy, I need you to think very carefully about what you're saying right now," she said. "You're accusing me of abandoning my principles on national television in front of millions of people. Is that really the hill you want to die on today?" Joy's hands trembled slightly, but her resolve held. "Yes, Oprah, it is," she said firmly, "because someone needs to say it. You used to be fearless. You challenged power. You exposed corruption. You gave a voice to people who had none. Now you're just another celebrity interviewer, afraid to ruffle feathers. Afraid." Oprah's eyebrows lifted, a dangerous smile flickering at the corners of her mouth. "Joy," she said quietly, "you clearly don't know me as well as you think. I'm not afraid of anything, certainly not. Criticism from someone who's built a career on cheap shots and surface-level commentary." An audible gasp rippled through the audience. Whoopi finally found her voice. "Ladies, maybe we should all take a breath." "No," Oprah said calmly, raising a hand without breaking eye contact with Joy. "I think it's time we had this conversation. Joy wants to talk about principles." "Let's talk about principles," Oprah continued. "Let's talk about how she sits at this table every day, throwing stones while hiding behind the safety of a group dynamic." Joy's face drained of color. "Hiding? I'm not hiding from anything. I say exactly what I think, and I stand by it. That's more than I can say for you these days. You say what you think." Oprah let out a short, cold laugh. "Joy, you say what gets attention. You say what keeps you relevant in a world that's moved past your brand of outrage. When was the last time you had an original thought that wasn't designed purely to provoke?" The other hosts looked like they wanted to disappear into their chairs. Sarah N. shifted uncomfortably. Sunny Hostin glanced repeatedly toward the control room, silently pleading for a commercial break. Joy stepped closer to the table, her voice shaking with rage. "How dare you?" she said. "How dare you come onto this show and question my credibility?" "Question it," Oprah replied, circling the table with deliberate slowness, each step measured. "Joy, I've watched you for years. You pick targets you think are safe. You attack people instead of ideas. And the moment someone pushes back, you play the victim." "I don't play anything," Joy shot back. "I'm authentics, something you've clearly forgotten how to be. Everything about you is calculated now, Oprah. Every word, every gesture, every interview." Oprah stopped, turned, faced her directly. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. "A brand," Oprah said finally. "At least I built something. At least I created a legacy that extends beyond sitting at a table complaining about other people's work." She held Joy's gaze. "What exactly is your legacy going to be?" "My legacy." Joy's voice cracked. "My legacy is speaking truth to power even when that power is standing right in front of me, pretending to be something it's not." Oprah shook her head slowly. "Joy, you wouldn't recognize truth if it slapped you across the face," she said. "You've spent so many years spinning narratives and manufacturing drama that you've forgotten what real truth-telling looks like." The tension hit a breaking point. Joy glanced around the table, searching for support, but found only uneasy silence. Even the audience seemed frozen, holding its breath. "You know what, Oprah?" Joy said quietly, her voice suddenly deadly calm. I've had enough. I'm done pretending we're friends. I'm done sitting here while you come on this show and insult everything I stand for." Oprah crossed her arms, one eyebrow lifting. "Then what are you going to do about it, Joy? Are you going to storm off?" Oprah asked coolly. "Make a scene? Or are you actually going to engage with the substance of what I'm saying?" "What I'm going to do?" Joy replied, reaching for her microphone and carefully unclipping it from her lapel, "is refuse to be part of this charade any longer." She held the mic for a moment, then dropped it onto the table. The sharp thud echoed through the studio. "If you want to turn the view into the Oprah show," Joy continued, "you can do it without me." She turned and walked toward the exit, her movements sharp and deliberate. "Joy, wait," Whoopi called out, finally finding her voice. "Let's not do anything rash." But Joy didn't slow down. Her heels struck the floor in a steady rhythm that sounded like a countdown. At the edge of the stage, she stopped and turned back one final time. "You used to inspire people to be their best selves, Oprah," Joy said. "Now you just remind them that even heroes can fall." Then she disappeared behind the curtain. The silence that followed felt endless, though it lasted only seconds. The audience sat frozen. The remaining hosts didn't move. Camera operators scrambled, unsure whether to frame the empty chair or Oprah's face. Oprah stood perfectly still, staring at the space where Joy had vanished, her expression unreadable. Whoopi cleared her throat, attempting damage control. "Well, that was unexpected." "Oprah, I'm sorry. Don't apologize for her," Oprah said, cutting her off. She turned back to the table, her composure calm in a way that felt more unsettling than anger. Joy made a choice. She chose to walk away instead of having an honest conversation about the issues she raised. Sarah N. shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we should go to commercial and see if we can get Joy to come back." "No," Oprah said firmly, settling back into her chair as if nothing extraordinary had just happened. "Joy doesn't want to come back. And frankly, I don't think she should," the audience murmured. "This conversation needed to happen," Oprah continued. "I'm glad it did." Sunny Hostin leaned forward cautiously. "Oprah, don't you think that was a little harsh? Joy has been part of this show for a long time." Oprah smiled, but there was a sharp edge to it that made the room lean back instinctively. "Sunny, being somewhere for a long time doesn't mean you're good at it," she said. "Sometimes it just means you've gotten comfortable being mediocre." The audience was riveted. This wasn't the warm, reassuring Oprah they were used to. This was something else, someone who had clearly been holding back for far longer than anyone realized. "But she raised valid points about your interview," Sunny pressed, surprising everyone with her nerve. "Don't you think there's value in her criticism?" "Why?" Oprah laughed softly. The sound was genuine and, somehow, colder because of it. "Joy's criticism isn't rooted in journalism, ethics, or professional standards," Oprah said. "It's rooted in jealousy and resentment. She's angry that I've remained relevant while she's become a footnote." Whoopi tried again to steer things back to safer ground. "I think we're all just trying to understand where this came from." "It felt like it came out of nowhere. Did it?" Oprah turned her full attention to Whoopi, and even the veteran host seemed to wilt under the weight of her stare. "You've all been talking behind my back for years," Oprah said. The comments, the little digs, the subtle undermining of everything I've built. You think I don't hear it? The studio was dead silent. "Today," Oprah continued, "was just the first time someone was brave enough, foolish enough, to say it to my face." Sarah's voice barely rose above a whisper. "We never meant any disrespect, Oprah. We all admire what you've accomplished." "Admire?" Oprah repeated, her eyebrow lifting slowly. "You tolerate me when it's convenient," Oprah continued, her voice steady but accelerating. and tear me down when you think no one is watching. The difference is, I actually accomplished something with my platform rather than using it to complain about other people's work. Behind the scenes, the control room was in chaos. Producers argued in frantic whispers, fingers hovering over buttons as they debated whether to cut to commercial or let the moment unfold. Ratings were likely spiking, but this had crossed into territory none of them had prepared for. You know what the real problem is? Oprah pressed on, her words gaining force like a freight train. You've all gotten so comfortable inside this bubble that you've forgotten what real television looks like. You've forgotten what it means to challenge people instead of performing outrage for the cameras. Whoopi made one last attempt to intervene. Oprah, I think maybe we should. No, Whoopi, Oprah said, raising her hand without turning. Let me finish. Joy wanted to question my principles. Then let's talk about principles, Oprah said. Principles aren't about being the loudest voice in the room. They're not about attacking people because it earns applause. Principles are about consistency, about building something that lasts, about using influence to create real change rather than just noise. She stood again, somehow commanding even more space than before. Joy Behar just proved everything I've long believed about this show, Oprah said. When faced with real criticism, when asked to defend her positions with more than clever one-liners and righteous indignation, she ran. She literally walked away from the conversation she started. The audience was utterly silent now. No whispers, no movement, just attention total and complete. And you know what the saddest part is? Oprah's voice dropped to nearly a whisper, pulling everyone closer. Joy could have been great. She had the platform. She had the audience. She had the chance to make a real difference. But instead of rising to that moment, she chose comfort. She chose bitterness over growth. Sunny made one final attempt. Oprah. Joy has advocated for important causes for years. Has she? Oprah turned sharply. Or has she just talked about them? There's a difference between advocacy and performance. Between doing the work and talking about the work. My silence stretched until even it felt heavy. Finally, Whoopi spoke. Well, I think this has certainly been one of our most memorable shows. Oprah smiled on for the first time since the confrontation began. It reached her eyes. Whoopi, she said gently. Memorable is one word for it. Educational might be another. She turned to face the camera directly. Sometimes the most important conversations are the most uncomfortable ones. Sometimes real change only happens when someone is willing to tell the truth even when that truth is difficult to hear. She picked up her purse and stood with effortless grace. Thank you for having me, ladies. This has been absolutely enlightening. Without another word. She walked off the set with the same dignity and composure she had entered with, leaving the remaining hosts frozen in stunned silence. Whoopi turned to the camera, her expression caught between shock and professionalism. We'll be right back after this commercial break. But everyone knew nothing would ever be quite the same again. So there you have it. One of the most explosive confrontations in daytime television history. What did you think about Oprah's takedown of Joy? Was she justified in her criticism, or did she go too far? Make sure to subscribe for more incredible television moments. And let me know in the comments which host you think came out on top in this unforgettable exchange.